The massive space station called Nexus Prime floated in the darkness of space like a metal city. Inside its walls, the most dangerous creatures in the galaxy were gathering for an emergency meeting. These were not the kind of beings that scared easily. Admiral Kate Morrison sat in the back row of the Great Hall, watching the alien leaders take their places. She was the only human in the room, sent here as an observer for Earth's government. Her job was simple: listen and report back. She never expected to become part of the discussion. The Vexhi were the first to enter. These creatures looked like giant cats that walked on two legs, but their claws could cut through steel, and their teeth could bite through bone. Their leader, Scarthex, stood 9 feet tall and wore the scars of 1,000 battles. Even other predators feared the Vexhi. Next came the Zephyrians, flowing into the room like living liquid. Their bodies were made of acid that could eat through almost anything. They could change shape at will and had no fixed form. When they spoke, the air around them turned green with poisonous gas. They had conquered 12 star systems by simply melting everything in their path. The last group to arrive were the Korthak. They looked almost human, but Kate knew better. These beings could control minds with a thought. They could make entire armies turn on each other without firing a single shot. Their pale skin and empty black eyes had been the last thing countless enemies ever saw. These 3 species ruled most of the known galaxy. They had destroyed civilizations and eaten entire worlds. Nothing in space frightened them. But today, something had them scared enough to call an emergency meeting. Scarthex stood up and began to speak. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. "Fellow counselors," he said, "we face a crisis unlike any in our history. Our combined fleets have found something that threatens us all." Kate leaned forward in her seat. What could possibly threaten these monsters? 3 months ago, our scouts discovered a planet in the outer rim. Scarthex continued. The world contains the largest deposit of quantum crystals ever found. These crystals could power our civilizations for thousands of years. Without them, our empires will fall within decades. A Zephyrian leader named Velthara spoke next. Her voice bubbled like boiling water. "The problem is the planet itself. It is a death world beyond imagination. Our strongest warriors cannot survive on its surface for more than minutes." Kate raised an eyebrow. She had studied alien biology for years. These species could survive in conditions that would kill most life forms instantly. What kind of world could be too dangerous for them? Korthmag, the Korthak representative, floated slightly above his chair. His mental voice entered everyone's mind at once, cold and sharp. "The atmosphere burns our lungs. It contains a poison gas that these creatures call oxygen mixed with nitrogen. The very air is toxic to most life." Kate almost choked on her drink. Oxygen? Nitrogen? That sounded like... "The gravity is crushing," Scarthex added. "Our soldiers are pressed flat against the ground by an invisible force. The planet spins so fast that massive storms rage across its surface. Winds blow with the power to tear apart our ships. The native life forms are worse than anything we have ever seen," Velthara said with obvious fear. "They attack without reason or logic. They consume everything in their path. 3 of our best reconnaissance teams have been completely devoured." Kate found herself leaning forward more and more. The description was starting to sound very familiar. "Water falls from the sky like acid rain," Korthmag continued. "Electricity shoots through the air with enough power to destroy buildings. The temperature changes so quickly that metal expands and contracts until it breaks apart. And the predators," Scarthex said, his claws extending unconsciously. "Creatures with massive teeth that can run faster than our vehicles. Flying beasts that attack in swarms. Things that live in the water and can swallow our ships whole." The 3 species that had conquered most of the galaxy were talking about this planet, like it was the most terrifying place in the universe. Kate had to bite her lip to keep from smiling. "We have tried everything," Velthara said. "Our best environmental suits fail within hours. Our strongest soldiers collapse from exhaustion. Our most advanced weapons cannot protect us from the native life forms. Yet we must have those crystals," Scarthex declared. Without quantum energy, our civilizations will crumble. Our fleets will become powerless. Our people will die. The Great Hall fell silent. These apex predators, these destroyers of worlds, were admitting they had found something they could not conquer. Kate could see the fear in their alien faces. It was almost funny if it were not so serious. Korthmag's mental voice touched everyone again. We have come to a terrible conclusion. This Deathworld is beyond our abilities. We cannot survive there long enough to build the mining equipment we need. So we face a choice, Scarthek said grimly. Watch our empires fall, or find someone else who can survive on this nightmare planet long enough to extract the crystals for us. Kate could not stay quiet any longer. She stood up slowly, drawing the attention of every deadly creature in the room. All eyes turned to the small human woman in the back row. "Excuse me," she said politely. "I could not help but notice your description of this planet. Could you show me the survey data?" Scarthex's yellow eyes narrowed. "Observer Morrison, this is not a matter for lesser species. We are discussing survival of the galactic order." "I understand that," Kate replied, calmly, "but I think I might be able to help." The three leaders looked at each other. The idea that a human might have something useful to say about their crisis seemed impossible, but they were desperate. "Very well," Scarthex growled. "You may speak." Kate smiled and pulled out her datapad. What she was about to show them would change everything. Kate Morrison activated her datapad and connected it to the main display screen. The three alien leaders watched with growing impatience as she pulled up her files. They had no idea that their entire worldview was about to change. "Before I show you anything," Kate said calmly, "I need to ask a few questions about this planet you discovered." Scarthex growled low in his throat. "We do not have time for games, human. Please," Kate said, holding up her hand. "This is important. You mentioned the atmosphere contains oxygen and nitrogen. What percentages?" Velthera's acidic form shifted slightly. Approximately 21% oxygen, 78% nitrogen, with trace amounts of other gases. Why does this matter? Kate nodded and made a note. "And the gravity? You said it was crushing." "Nearly 10 meters per second squared," Korthmag replied through his mental voice. "Our warriors can barely stand upright." "The temperature range," Kate continued. "Wildly unstable," Scarthex said with disgust. "From -40 degrees to over 50 degrees Celsius. Sometimes the temperature changes 30 degrees in a single day." Kate smiled slightly. "And you mentioned water falling. From the sky?" "Acid rain that burns through our equipment," Velthera hissed. "Liquid death that comes without warning." "One more question," Kate said. "Can you show me an image of this terrible death world?" The three leaders exchanged glances. They did not understand why the human was asking such basic questions, but they were curious to see where this was going. Scarthex activated his own display and projected a holographic image above the conference table. Kate looked at the image and felt her heart skip a beat. There it was, hanging in space like a blue and white jewel. Swirling clouds covered most of the surface, with glimpses of green and brown landmasses peeking through. Two white ice caps marked the north and south poles. It was the most beautiful sight she had ever seen. "Counselors," Kate said quietly, "I believe you have discovered Earth." The reaction was immediate and explosive. Scarthex roared, and his claws extended to their full length. Velthara's acidic body began bubbling violently, filling the air with poisonous fumes. Korthmag's mental scream was so powerful that several smaller aliens in the room collapsed, holding their heads. "Impossible," Scarthex snarled. "That is the most dangerous planet we have ever encountered. No intelligent life could survive there." Kate remained completely calm despite the chaos around her. "I assure you, counselors, that is my homeworld. The place where I was born and raised." "You lie!" Velthera accused, her voice crackling with rage. "We have seen the survey data. The atmospheric composition alone would kill any living thing in minutes." "Actually," Kate said with a gentle smile, "I am breathing that exact same atmospheric mixture right now. The life support system on this station is designed to accommodate many species, including humans. Our air is 21% oxygen and 78% nitrogen. The three leaders fell silent. They had not considered that the station's life support might be providing different atmospheric mixtures to different areas. The human was breathing their poison gas and showing no signs of distress. Captain Jake Sullivan, Kate's military attaché, stood up from his seat nearby. He was a large man with the build of a soldier, and he moved with quiet confidence. "If I may add something, counselors," he said. "The gravity you described as crushing is what we call normal," Jake continued. "Human children play in that gravity. Our athletes compete in it. Our elderly live their entire lives in it." Scarthek stared at the two humans with growing disbelief. "The temperature variations? The acid rain?" "We call it weather," Kate replied, simply. "The water falling from the sky is not acid. It is pure water that we drink, bathe in, and use to grow our food. When the temperature drops, we put on warmer clothes. When it gets hot, we take clothes off." "The electrical storms that can destroy buildings?" Korthmag asked, his mental voice shaking. "Lightning," Jake said with a shrug. "It is dangerous, yes, but we have learned to predict it and take shelter. Children are taught about lightning safety in school." "And the predators?" Belthara demanded. Belthara. "The massive creatures with razor teeth that devoured our reconnaissance teams." Kate and Jake looked at each other and both started laughing. The sound was so strange in the tense council chamber that several aliens jumped. "I am sorry," Kate said, wiping tears from her eyes. "But I think you might be talking about bears or maybe large cats. They are dangerous, yes, but humans have been dealing with them for thousands of years." "We hunt them for sport," Jake added. "Some humans keep smaller versions as pets." The three apex predators of the galaxy stared at the humans in complete shock. Everything they considered impossible was normal daily life for these creatures. "The flying swarms that attack in coordinated groups?" Scarthex asked weakly. "Probably bees or wasps," Kate said. "They can be annoying, but most humans just swat them away. Some humans actually keep bees to make honey." "The water creatures that can swallow ships whole?" "Whales, maybe," Jake suggested. "Most of them eat tiny fish and plants. Some humans swim with them for fun." The silence in the Great Hall was deafening. The most feared species in the galaxy had just learned that their ultimate nightmare was home to a species that considered it a pleasant place to live. Korthmag was the first to speak, his mental voice barely a whisper. "Your species lives on this Deathworld, voluntarily. We do not just live there," Kate said proudly. "We thrive there. We have built cities, farms, and factories. We have art, music, and literature. We explore every corner of our world, from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains." "And you do this without environmental suits or life support?" Belthara asked in amazement. "We do not need them," Jake replied. "Earth is not a death world to us. It is home." The galaxy's apex predators realized they were looking at something completely new. Here was a species that had evolved on a world so hostile that their greatest warriors could not survive there for minutes. Yet these humans talked about it like it was a peaceful garden. Scarthex slowly sat back down, his claws retracting. "If this is true," he said carefully, "then perhaps we need to discuss a different kind of arrangement." 3 days after the shocking revelation in the council chamber, the three alien leaders made a decision that went against everything they had ever believed. They would ask for help from a species they had barely noticed before. Scarthex stood before the assembled council once again, but this time his voice carried a different tone. Gone was the arrogant confidence of a galactic conqueror. In its place was the careful respect of someone asking a favor from a dangerous ally. "We formally request assistance from the human government," he announced. "We offer advanced technology, exclusive trade agreements, and full membership in the Galactic Council in exchange for help establishing a mining operation on your homeworld." Kate Morrison and Captain Jake Sullivan looked at each other. They had expected this request, but hearing it spoken aloud was still surprising. The most powerful alliance in the galaxy was asking humanity for help, We will need to discuss this with our leaders on Earth, Kate replied diplomatically. This is not a decision we can make alone. Of course, Velthera said, her acidic form rippling with nervous energy. We understand you must consult with your pack leaders. Jake nearly laughed at the translation. Pack leaders. These aliens still did not understand how human society worked, but they were trying to be respectful. 2 weeks later, Kate and Jake stood in a conference room high in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. The thin air and rugged landscape outside the windows reminded everyone present of what made Earth special. This was not the kind of meeting room most aliens would ever see. President Lisa Carter sat at the head of the table, flanked by the most important people in Earth's government. Dr. Alex Chen, Earth's leading expert on alien biology, was practically bouncing in his chair with excitement. Colonel Sam Rodriguez, head of Earth's Special Forces, studied the alien proposals with the eye of a military strategist. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, President Carter said slowly. The galaxy's most dangerous predators have found our planet and decided it is too scary for them to visit? That is essentially correct, Madam President, Kate replied. They are offering us full membership in the Galactic Council, advanced technology, and exclusive trade rights in exchange for our help mining quantum crystals from Earth. Dr. Chen could not contain his enthusiasm any longer. This is incredible. We finally have proof that human adaptability is truly unique in the galaxy. We are not just another species, we are something completely different. Colonel Rodriguez was more practical. What exactly are they asking us to do? And what are the risks? Jake spread out the detailed plans on the table. They want to establish a joint mining operation. Humans handle all surface operations while they provide orbital support and processing equipment. They will observe from heavily shielded facilities. Heavily shielded? President Carter asked. They are building what amounts to a small piece of their homeworlds on Earth's surface, Kate explained. Environmental suits, artificial atmosphere, the works. They are treating this like a mission to the most dangerous planet in the universe. Dr. Chen laughed. We should charge them extra for the entertainment value. Colonel Rodriguez studied the tactical implications. This could be the best military training opportunity we have ever had. Our people working alongside alien technology, learning their capabilities and weaknesses. There is another angle to consider, Kate added. This makes Earth valuable to them. Not as a target for conquest, but as a resource they desperately need. It gives us protection and leverage we never had before. President Carter nodded thoughtfully. Who would lead the human side of this operation? Colonel Rodriguez immediately answered. Lieutenant Maya Patel. She is the best we have for this kind of mission. Tough, smart, and adaptable. If anyone can work with nervous aliens on a dangerous planet, it is her. Dr. Chen pulled up Maya's file on his tablet. She has experience with extreme environments and cross-cultural operations. Perfect choice. I want to meet her, President Carter decided. And I want to know exactly who she plans to take with her. 2 days later, Lieutenant Maya Patel stood in the same conference room, looking completely comfortable despite being surrounded by the most powerful people on Earth. She was a small woman with dark hair and calm eyes, but there was something about her presence that commanded respect. Ma'am, she said to President Carter, I have selected my team based on the specific challenges we will face. Maya activated a wall display showing photos and files of her chosen people. Marine Sergeant Tony Brooks for security and combat expertise. He has served in every hostile environment on Earth and treats danger like a daily routine. The next photo showed a young Asian woman with dirt under her fingernails. Dr. Rachel Kim, our geologist. She knows more about mineral extraction than anyone alive, and she has worked in conditions that would kill most people. Botanist Ben Clark, Maya continued, showing a tall man with a friendly smile. He specializes in plant biology and ecological adaptation. I have a feeling the aliens are going to have some interesting reactions to Earth's plant life. The final photo was of a compact woman in medical scrubs. Corporal Lisa Wong, our medic. When human caution meets alien common sense, someone is going to get hurt. Lisa will keep everyone alive. Colonel Rodriguez nodded approvingly. Excellent choices. When do you leave? The aliens want to begin as soon as possible, Maya replied. They are building their base in the Amazon basin. They chose that location because they think it will be gentle compared to other parts of Earth. Dr. Chen nearly choked on his coffee. The Amazon? They think the Amazon is gentle? Maya smiled. They analyzed our climate data and decided a tropical rainforest would be the safest place to start. Apparently, they prefer it to deserts, mountains, or Arctic regions. President Carter shook her head in amazement. They really have no idea what they are getting into, do they? No, ma'am, they do not, Maya replied. But that is what makes this so perfect. They are going to learn exactly what kind of species they are dealing with. Jake Sullivan, who had been quiet during most of the meeting, finally spoke up. There is one more thing to consider. This is not just about mining crystals or proving human toughness. This is about showing the galaxy that we are not just another species to be ignored or conquered. We are not asking to be feared, Kate added. We are showing them that we are valuable partners who can go places and do things that no one else can. President Carter stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the mountains that the aliens considered impossibly hostile terrain. Lieutenant Patel, you and your team have my full authorization. Show our new alien friends what it means to be human. Maya saluted crisply. Yes, ma'am. It will be our pleasure. As the meeting ended, Dr. Chen was already making notes for his research. Colonel Rodriguez was planning training exercises. Kate and Jake were preparing diplomatic reports. But Maya Patel was thinking about something else entirely. She was thinking about how much fun it was going to be to watch the galaxy's apex predators learn to survive on the world that humans called home. The alien base in the Amazon looked like something from a science fiction movie. Massive metal walls surrounded a cluster of domed buildings that hummed with the sound of air filters and environmental controls. Warning lights flashed constantly, and force fields shimmered around every entrance. The aliens had built a fortress to protect themselves from what humans considered a pleasant jungle. Lieutenant Maya Patel stepped off the transport helicopter and breathed deeply. The warm, humid air filled her lungs as she looked around at the green canopy stretching in every direction. Birds called from the trees, insects buzzed in the undergrowth, and somewhere in the distance a howler monkey was making its morning noise. To Maya, it felt like paradise. To the aliens watching from their sealed base, it looked like hell. Commander Zixtar of the Vexhai stood behind 3 layers of reinforced glass, watching the humans with amazement. His environmental suit was so bulky that he could barely move, and even inside the base he refused to remove his helmet. The very idea of breathing the same air as the jungle terrified him. How are they not dead? He asked his aide, watching. Maya's team unpacked their equipment in the open air. Sergeant Tony Brooks was setting up a perimeter, casually swatting at mosquitoes as he worked. Each time his hand moved, the alien sensors registered the death of another micro-predator. The aliens could not understand how he could kill so many dangerous creatures without even thinking about it. Dr. Rachel Kim had already started taking soil samples, digging her hands directly into dirt that the alien scanners said contained billions of hostile microorganisms. She hummed quietly to herself as she worked, completely unaware that her actions were horrifying the observers. Look at that one, whispered Velmoth, the Zephyrian engineer. His acidic form was contained in a special suit that made him look like a walking chemical tank. She is touching the contaminated earth with her bare skin. Ben Clark, the botanist, was having the time of his life. He moved through the jungle like he was walking through a garden, examining plants and taking notes. The aliens watched in terror as he casually pushed aside vines and stepped over logs without checking for the deadly creatures they were sure must be hiding everywhere. The vegetation is attacking, one alien observer shouted as a vine brushed against Ben's shoulder. But Ben just moved it aside gently and continued his work. The real shock came when the weather changed. Maya had been expecting it, but the aliens were not prepared for their first Amazon thunderstorm. Dark clouds rolled in quickly and the temperature dropped 10 degrees in minutes. Inside the alien base, every alarm started screaming. Atmospheric disturbance, electrical bombardment imminent, all personnel to emergency stations. Maya looked up at the darkening sky and smiled. "Looks like rain," she said to her team. "Better get the tarps ready." The aliens could not believe what they were seeing. The humans were not running for shelter or activating emergency protocols. They were pulling out pieces of cloth to cover their equipment. Then the lightning started. Electrical bolts split the sky with enough power to destroy spacecraft. Thunder rolled across the jungle like the roar of angry gods. The alien base went into full lockdown, with every defensive system activated and emergency power routing to the shields. But Maya Patel just put on a rain jacket and kept working. "This is impossible," Commander Zixtar said, his voice shaking inside his helmet. "No living creature can survive in those conditions." Maya was talking to Dr. Kim about mineral deposits while lightning flashed around them. She had to raise her voice over the thunder, but she seemed completely unbothered by the electrical storm that had the aliens convinced they were all about to die. Then the rain started, and the aliens learned a new kind of terror. Water fell from the sky in sheets, turning the air into a liquid maze. The alien sensors registered it as atmospheric flooding and precipitation bombardment. Lisa Wong, the medic, opened her mouth and caught raindrops on her tongue. She laughed as the water ran down her face, apparently enjoying what the aliens considered a deadly chemical attack. "The acid rain is not affecting them," Velmoth reported in disbelief. They are drinking it." Ben Clark made the most important discovery of the day when he noticed how the aliens reacted to the jungle plants. Every time a leaf moved in the wind or a branch swayed, the alien sensors went crazy with warnings about hostile vegetation and aggressive plant attacks. He walked over to a large tree and knocked on the trunk. Inside the alien base, every warning system activated at once. "What is he doing?" Commander Zixtar demanded. "Why is he provoking the giant predator plant?" Ben was just checking to see if the tree was healthy, but to the aliens it looked like he was attacking a creature that could crush him in seconds. When a parrot landed on his shoulder, the aliens were sure he was being eaten alive by a flying death beast. The real breakthrough came when Sergeant Brooks got bitten by a snake. It was just a small, non-venomous species, but the alien medical scanners detected the bite and classified it as a lethal toxin injection. "Emergency medical response," someone shouted inside the base. "The warrior has been poisoned by a death serpent." But Brooks just looked at the tiny puncture marks on his hand and shrugged. "Little guy was just scared," he said to Maya. "No harm done." Lisa Wong came over to check the bite, cleaning it with a simple antiseptic wipe and putting on a small bandage. The whole treatment took less than 2 minutes. The aliens watched in stunned silence. Their medical computers said Brooks should be dead within minutes, but he was already back to work setting up equipment. "How is this possible?" Velmoth asked. "Our analysis shows that creature's venom contains 17 different toxins." Dr. Kim overheard the question through the communication system. "Oh, that was just a garden snake," she called out cheerfully. "Completely harmless. My daughter has one as a pet back home." The aliens had no response to that. The idea that humans kept death serpents as pets for their children was beyond their understanding. As the day went on, the aliens realized they were not just watching humans work. They were watching a species that had turned survival into an art form. Every challenge that would kill an alien warrior was just another minor inconvenience to be dealt with and forgotten. When evening came, Maya's team set up a campfire to cook dinner. The aliens watched in fascination as the humans gathered around the open flame, talking and laughing as if they were not surrounded by 1,000 deadly threats. "They are not just surviving," Commander Zixtar said quietly. "They are enjoying themselves." Maya looked up at the alien base, its lights blazing against the jungle darkness. She waved at the observers and called out, "Beautiful night, isn't it?" Inside their fortress, the galaxy's apex predators realized they had found something more dangerous than any weapon or army. They had found a species that considered their ultimate nightmare to be a pleasant camping trip. The humans had not conquered the Deathworld. They had made it their home, and that made them the most terrifying creatures the aliens had ever encountered. 6 months later, the mining operation had become the most successful project in galactic history. The quantum crystals were being extracted ahead of schedule. But that was not the most important discovery. The real find was humanity itself. The Galactic Council chamber looked very different now. Admiral Kate Morrison sat at the main table wearing the blue uniform of an official council member. Her nameplate read Earth's representative in 17 different alien languages. The other counselors no longer looked at her with dismissal or curiosity. They looked at her with respect and just a touch of fear. President Lisa Carter appeared, on the main screen via hologram, speaking from her office in the Himalayan mountains. The aliens had learned not to question why human leaders chose to work in locations that would kill most other species. The thin air and freezing temperatures were just normal to humans. The Earth Training Academy has exceeded all expectations, President Carter announced. Our first class of alien graduates will complete their program next week. Scarthex shifted uncomfortably in his seat. 3 of his best Vexhai warriors had been training on Earth for 5 months. The reports he received described their progress in terms he barely understood. They had learned to walk in the rain without panic, ignore flying insects, and sleep outdoors without environmental suits. To humans, these were simple skills any child could master. To the Vexhai, they represented impossible achievements that bordered on magic. How many of the original candidates are still in the program? Asked Velthara, her acidic form rippling with nervous energy. Captain Jake Sullivan, now promoted to general and serving as director of alien relations, answered, from his position beside Kate. 67% of the original class remains. The others were not physically or mentally capable of adapting to Earth conditions. The number sent a chill through the alien counselors. These were their elite warriors, their best and strongest fighters, and 1/3 of them had failed to complete basic survival training on the human homeworld. The graduates, however, are remarkable, Kate added. They have become the most capable soldiers their species have ever produced. Korthmag's mental voice touched everyone in the room. Define capable, please, General Sullivan smiled. A Vexhai warrior who can operate effectively on Earth can survive anywhere in the galaxy. A Zephyrian who can maintain cohesion in Amazon humidity can adapt to any environmental challenge. A Korthak who can focus mentally while insects buzz around their head can concentrate under any battlefield conditions. But the real benefit, President Carter continued from her mountain office, is what this partnership has done for galactic relationships. She was right. The training program had created something unprecedented in galactic history. Instead of the usual relationships built on fear, conquest, or trade agreements, Earth had established bonds based on mutual respect and genuine cooperation. Colonel Maya Patel, now promoted to general and serving as commandant of the Earth Training Academy, appeared on a secondary screen. Behind her, alien soldiers could be seen running through what looked like a peaceful forest. The aliens watching knew better. That peaceful forest contained dangers that would have killed them 6 months ago. Today's graduation ceremony will be held in Central Park in New York City, Maya announced. The location was chosen specifically to demonstrate how far our students have progressed. Commander Zixtar almost fell out of his chair. Central Park? That is where millions of humans gather for recreation. Exactly, Maya replied with a smile. Our graduates will receive their certificates surrounded by human families having picnics, children playing games, and elderly couples feeding birds. It will be the ultimate test of their adaptation. Dr. Alex Chen, now Earth Secretary of Xenobiology, took over the presentation. The psychological breakthrough has been as important as the physical adaptation. These alien soldiers have learned that danger and death are not the same thing. He brought up a video showing a Zephyrian warrior named Zelkar walking calmly through a garden while butterflies landed on his containment suit. 6 months earlier, flying insects had sent him into panic attacks. Now, he was learning to appreciate their beauty. The economic benefits have been substantial as well, Kate reported. Earth has become the galaxy's premier training destination. We are receiving requests from species we had never even met before. And the military advantages are obvious, General Sullivan added. Any species with soldiers trained on Earth gains a significant tactical edge. We are not just running a school. We are reshaping galactic power structures. The alien counselors exchanged glances. They had come to Earth seeking quantum crystals to power their civilizations. Instead, they had discovered something far more valuable, a species that could transform their weakest soldiers into elite warriors. There is one more development to discuss, President Carter said from her mountain office. Earth's proposal for expanded cooperation. Scarthex leaned forward. What kind of expansion? Kate activated a new display showing plans for facilities across the galaxy. We propose establishing human training centers on selected worlds throughout Council space, not to recreate Earth conditions, but to teach adaptive survival techniques. You want to spread human training methods to other planets? Velthara asked. We want to share what we have learned about adaptation and resilience, General Sullivan explained. Earth is unique, but the principles that make humans successful can be taught anywhere. Dr. Chen brought up research data. Our studies show that exposure to controlled challenges makes any species stronger. We do not need to create death worlds. We just need to create opportunities for growth. Maya's voice came through clearly from New York. The graduation ceremony is beginning. You can watch as the first class of Deathworld survivors receives their certification. The main screen switched to a view of Central Park on a beautiful spring day. Families spread blankets on the grass while children ran around playing games. Dogs chased frisbees while their owners chatted on benches. It looked like the most peaceful, harmless place in the galaxy. Then the alien graduates marched into view, and everything changed. The Vex-High warrior Carthex moved with fluid confidence, no longer flinching when a bird flew overhead. The Zephyrian, Zelkar, maintained perfect form despite the humidity that would have dissolved his cohesion months earlier. The Korthak Telmar walked with mental clarity, even as dozens of human thoughts touched the edges of his consciousness. Ladies and gentlemen, Maya announced to the mixed crowd of humans and aliens, I present the first graduating class of the Earth Survival Academy. These warriors have learned that courage is not the absence of fear, but the ability to function effectively despite it. The ceremony was simple but powerful. Each graduate received a certificate and a small badge, a blue and green circle representing Earth. But more importantly, they received something no military training had ever given them before. They received the knowledge that they could survive anything. As the ceremony ended and families returned to their picnics, the alien counselors sat in stunned silence. They had watched their greatest warriors graduate from a training program held in what humans considered a children's playground. Earth is no longer just our ally, Scarthex said quietly. Earth is our teacher. Kate Morrison stood up and looked around the council chamber. We prefer to think of ourselves as partners who happen to come from a world that makes good soldiers. President Carter's image smiled from the mountain office that would kill most aliens just from the altitude. The universe is a dangerous place. We are offering to help everyone become a little more dangerous in return. And in Central Park, children continued to play in the sunshine while alien warriors learned that home was not about the absence of danger. Home was about the presence of those who would face any danger together. The Deathworld had become a school, and the galaxy would never be the same.